Well, we'll look at the Final Four, but we'll look at the Elite Eight and how those guys did. And that first game that I'm looking at, Florida-Dayton, that's just 10 points in that game. But do you feel it was a big 10 points or a comfortable 10 points, or was it tight?
John, you first?
Yeah, but in my opinion, that's a huge victory for a Dayton program. You're talking about a program that's mid-major by nature, smaller market, no name, first time in getting there, having to play the overall number one seed in the entire tournament. So I got to believe if we spoke to Billy Donovan that he was definitely nervous, because at any given moment, Dayton was on a run and on one of the most memorable, was on a great run in the tournament. So anything could have happened. I think it was a great moral victory for them.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, definitely. BJ.
Yeah, I second that. I think Dayton had a very, very good year. They were probably a little bit lucky to get by Ohio State. They had a tough road just getting to the Florida game. And Florida's just been real consistent all year doing what they do and, in guarding and playing their system and playing a lot of guys. And but Dayton had a great run out of the A-10, no question.
Definitely. Do you think that Dayton will be able to bounce back next year, BJ?
Well, now the expectation, and yeah, for sure, expectations are on Dayton right now. I'm sure Archie Miller has set the tone for a first-year program that this is what is expected from here on out. It's the same with those players that are there on that roster. They believe now that they can get there. Not only get there, they can win a couple games in advance.
Yeah, well, they also, making it to that point helps a lot in recruiting, Coach, as you know. So, and I think they signed Archie, right? They gave him an extension already, so he's going to be there. And so expectations are definitely higher.
No doubt.
Do you think that Florida, BJ, you mentioned Florida before, have been playing close games all season, and this seems like another close game. Do you think they're going to keep riding it out?
Yeah, Anthony, we talk all the time about coaching, and the parity in college coaching is such a key factor. And you look at the Final Four, Bo Ryan probably doesn't get enough credit for the coaching job that he does. And we talked last week about him and Beeline really being, innovators in terms of what they do in stretching the floor and bringing their bigs to the perimeter and opening up space for their guards to either work in the post or to penetrate the lane. Billy obviously is a great coach also. And rounding it out, Kevin Ollie obviously has done a great job. He's a younger coach, but the fact that he's gotten these guys there. And Calipari, that we talked about last week, I thought he outcoached Pitino. I really did. I thought there was a couple of key moves that he made. In particular, I know I don't know if it was on a switch or it was done on purpose, but he had one of the smaller guys on Harrell when Harrell picked up a fourth foul on an offensive foul in the paint. He rested the kid Randall until late. He rested him until about the 5:30 mark, and he was fresh down the stretch and made a bunch of different plays. So to round back to your question, I think Billy is ready for the challenge, even if there are close games. But I think I do agree it's going to be close because the rest of the coaches that are in the Final Four are equally up for the challenge.
Right.
In my opinion, they are fantastic. All four of those coaches. Preparation is going to be a utmost decision and utmost key. And so, you give them all time to get developed and have scouting reports and break down video. You know, it's going to be about who's been there, who has been around, who has been in that dance and in that high pressure situation. Obviously, you know, Kentucky has to live in that bubble all the time, and but you're looking at a Florida team, and same with like a Wisconsin. They run their system. They are who they are from the tip off to the very end, and that's credit to their coaching staff. Experience is going to count, I believe, in this Final Four. So I got to kind of give a little bit of an edge to Florida in that regard because I think they've already have been there.
Coach, do you think there's any pressure on one team more than another to perform?
Repeat that again, Anthony.
Would you say that there's pressure on one team more than any other to perform, or you feel that right now they're all in the same boat?
No matter how you look at it, Kentucky will always experience the most pressure. Of those 4 teams that are there, Kentucky bears the burden. They travel with the blue mist. That's what they call their Kentucky fan base, and the expectations are outrageous. And you know, so they clearly, even though they're there as freshmen, they have an expectation level because of who they are. And so, you know, Wisconsin probably of all those teams, you know, this is their first time there, and so I think they have the least expectation that on the 4 that are there. Yeah. Florida, based upon the tournament bracket seeding, is the overall number 1 seed. And that's you know, they've got the burden of this year's tournament, yeah. But Kentucky will always bear the burden overall.
Last time Florida won, they had a good few seniors there with them, guys that opted to stay on the team to go back to back. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, Joakim Noah, you know, is a prime example of that. Corey Brewer is just fantastic young men. You know, I got to see them when they came into Los Angeles, and they were fantastic. You know, they were workaholics. They enjoyed, and they were really respectful to anybody that they saw. Yeah. And that's a credit to Billy Donovan and him building the Gator program and learning from others. You know, so he was under Pitino at one point. He was a player himself, and he just has a class program. And so when you get guys who experience what college life is about and continue to enjoy that collegiate experience and return again, yeah, that experience is tremendous. It's easier for Billy Donovan because he has guys that already know what he's talking about. Much more difficult for Calipari because he does have the freshmen and has a new system and new kids all the time that he has to blend into what he wants to build there. Yeah.
BJ, would you say that there's one team that's what you talked about last time, the team that has NBA ready players? Would you say one has more than the other?
Yeah, definitely Kentucky. I really like Kentucky, and you're talking to a graduate of the University of Wisconsin, so I'm a Badger at heart. But to be honest, I think, you know, Kentucky is hot. They're super hot. I really like what Calipari's done on the bench. I think Julius Randle. I think watching Julius Randle versus Montrezl Harrell, I think those 2 guys from Louisville and Kentucky, you could throw them into the NBA tomorrow. Right. And I could see it already. Randle is so scary talented. He's such a big boy for a young kid, and he finishes around the hoop. He's expanded his game. He can make a play for somebody else now. He knocks down his free throws, so I think he's the best player left in the tournament. And I really, really like the 2 Harrison kids, the guards. You know, the one kid, the point guard, is just so smooth, and he's made a lot of plays this year. And then all of a sudden, the other kid, stepped up and made 3 huge threes against Michigan. So you know his confidence is going to be there.
Yeah.
And then they have other pieces in the middle, like this kid, Jakari Johnson is a Brooklyn kid, and he stepped up, and Poitras made plays. And I don't think they're going to have the kid, Paulie Stein, but I think they're good enough without him. So, but yeah, I always talk about the team with the most NBA talent, and there are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, those guys typically end up there at the end of the day. And I think if Kentucky makes their free throws, they're going to have to make a couple of big free throws.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of Monday night, we're going to see Kentucky. Now look, they could lose Saturday, but
yeah.
But as far as the NBA talent and how that translates, that's the team that I would pick.
Okay. Coach?
Well, it's hard to argue. Those guys are super talented athletes. No question about it, and they figured out a way to win. And you need a lot of lucky breaks along the tournament to get to the big dance. So, Coach Ryan with Wisconsin did an unbelievable job having to come out here into Los Angeles, across the country for him, and take on Arizona.
Yep. That
was a huge deal.
Yep.
So confidence booster in terms of that. Now they're back into another long distance trip. It's still Dallas is still kind of far.
Yeah.
But the hoopla and the dance and the stuff that surrounds the Final Four, up today, arrivals and practice sessions, and boy, as it gets, the distractions are tremendous. And so some coaches know how to handle that better.
Yeah.
And Calipari's one of them. He knows how to handle that pretty good.
Yeah.
And so he's got an experience behind him in that sense. The same with Billy Donovan. He's been there already. He knows how to handle the distraction. And if they do meet again, Florida and Kentucky, that's pretty good. It's a Southeast Conference matchup.
Yeah.
And, it's a toss-up at that point, because it is about making free throws. It is about who's going to win the rebounding war and who's going to limit turnovers.
One other thing I would add, Anthony, is that, we haven't talked a lot about UConn yet, and I do think Julius Randle is the best player and NBA prospect left. But you know what? Shabazz Napier is the best guard left in the tournament, in my opinion.
Right. And
a lot of times, it's a guard-oriented situation, and so we shouldn't forget about those guys either. I don't think they have the talent that Kentucky has, although, they beat Florida, and I think Napier beat them earlier in the season on a last-second buzzer beater, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So, we got to keep that in mind, but we got to also think about that kid Napier, because you know what? He could come in there himself and basically win 2 games.
Right. No doubt about it. That kid can absolutely shoot the basketball incredibly well. No question.
So are we looking at 2 really close games?
In my opinion, yeah, sure. I think they're going to be no more of a stretch to 5 to 7 points. You're taking into consideration some quality coaching too. So, 6-0 runs are going to definitely be the norm for calls for a timeout. You're not going to have guys that are going to want to go to the locker room on a Saturday night and haven't had all their timeouts left, and they're not going to feel good about that. So they'll want to utilize that, plus, all your TV timeouts. So every 4 minutes, something's going to go on anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of strategy on that bench is going to occur to keep the games close.
Yeah.
I agree. I think UConn, Florida, UConn plays, because they both play close games. That's what they do. Well, that'll definitely be decided late. I think the possibility for a blowout comes with Kentucky, and I'm not, I don't love saying that, but I think if they go at Kaminsky early and take advantage of the fact that he might have some trouble guarding the bigs from Kentucky, if they could get him into foul trouble, that really limits what Wisconsin can do on the offensive side of the floor. And I don't know in general if Wisconsin has the athletes. I would give Bo Ryan the edge in an X and O situation, but I don't know if they have the athletes to hang with Kentucky. So I think if Cal attacks Kaminsky early in the post and they don't settle, I think that's something that really could open up that game. Having said that, that also could be a close game, but I think that's the one possibility where that could be a 15 or 20-point game if Kentucky plays it the right way and they execute.
Okay.
Yeah, without a doubt, I concur on that. I believe they're going to attack Kaminsky definitely and going to go after him hard and heavy. And the athleticism of Randall is that's an animal, and the Harrison twins are very, very big. So there's going to be some even if they went in there, it's not that's a 3-point play waiting to happen, and the young kids found a way to win. That's priceless, man. Find a way to win games.
Yeah. The team that plays on the 5th, do you think it's going to be to their advantage? They, the winner of that game, they get that extra day, or do you feel that it doesn't matter? The team that's just played the night before, they're still on a high, so they're ready to play?
Well, to get the back-to-backs, that's, again, you're taking into consideration a lot of distractions. From when I coach professional basketball, this back-to-back nights, the preparation to get a guy off the high and back down and into the green room and talking to the press and the coming down and then having to switch gears and get back into the next opponent.
Yeah.
Not an easy deal. Not an easy deal. So some of the strategy is going to be about an overload. When I was at Oregon State, sometimes we overloaded our athletes, and it's overkill.
Yeah.
In the Final Four, this is another situation where you can have coaches overload those players into seeing video, and maybe some of them are going to do double sessions, and you never know. You never know where that attention span is going to be for that athlete. It's going to come down to me making plays. We all pretty much, they're all going to know each other pretty well by now.
BJ?
Yeah, look, at this point, I agree with Coach. I think that, being in the Final Four, the adrenaline will be going, and, usually the best team ends up on top Monday night. So, but the truth is, we're breaking down these games and we're talking about all these, variables and outside factors. And the truth is really if the ball bounces a certain way, any of these 4 teams could end up winning Monday night. That's going to make for a great weekend. I know personally I've enjoyed, and I've heard from a lot of people in the business and just casual sports fans that they have enjoyed this tournament so much. There's been so many great games, starting with that, Dayton, Ohio State game. I think it was the first game of the tournament, and Aaron Kraft throws up a shot that hits the glass and hits the rim and falls off. And that was like the first couple hours of the tournament.
Yeah.
And, straight on through with Kentucky and Wichita State, and then Kentucky and Louisville, and Kentucky and Michigan. There's been some amazing games. So, at the end of the day, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. And I just think whoever plays the best and executes what they're trying to do is going to come out on top.
Yeah, I just love watching, the drama that unfolded all the way throughout this tournament, the matchups. But I'm a firm believer in how they look that day.
Yeah.
Are they loose? That's a key term. Are they excited to be there? Some teams have so much pressure on them that they carry a burden. And, you see players smile. I love seeing their passion.
Yeah.
And if you watch them and they're excitable and they're happy and they're loose and they're bouncing all over the place as they walk from hotel back and forth to places, boy, that's a team I give the edge to, because they're quick. They're going to execute better. They've kept it simple, and then their athletes are having fun and passionate and not having all that intense pressure on them.
Coach,
be wonderful.
I'm sure you're the same way. I'm not embarrassed to admit it. I love that one shining moment piece at the end, because that always encapsulates all of the different emotions that you're talking about. And it's really great when you've invested, a month to watch the tournament and just go back and look at, all the highlights and these kids pouring their heart out into getting this thing done. I know it's only like a 2 or 3 minute little montage, but man, that always gets me watching that piece at the end.
Oh, yeah, no question. It's one of the highlights of the whole tournament. You get to go back and experience that memory again, and it's remarkable.
Yeah. And I tell you what, it's going to be fun to even look at something like when they announce the brackets again, and all those predictions that people made, who got there, who didn't get there, and those people who called out a few teams and said, well, this one, look out for this team. And, everyone thought, no, they'll just get to maybe the Sweet 16, but here they are in the Final Four.
Oh, no doubt. There's 64 teams, really 68, and you went through the whole bracket. You had to see some close games. You had some nail biters. You had some strategy. Each team just didn't run through their win column to get here. It has been very difficult. It is a difficult road. But they're in Texas now. They're going to have some fun. They're going to be in awe of the building. They're going to be in awe of all their fan bases coming out and watching them, and the security that goes along for just traveling to go eat. It is quite the spectacle. And then after Saturday, boy, it empties out. Almost every coach kind of leaves, goes back. They're going to hit road recruiting again on that Monday, and boy, everybody's kind of back. And now you've got the whole world now paying attention to that Monday night game.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. It's been great to talk about this, and I'm looking forward to catching up again after the final game is played.